This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show. And this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I was asked by director James Balsamo to shoot a cameo, a death scene in a movie called Cool as Hell 2. And after that, it kind of led to an interesting little friendship between he and I, despite the fact we haven't face-to-face met. He's been on the show a couple of times. The second film he asked me to be part of was It Wants Blood. And the moment he said my scenes were going to be watched on a television by Eric Roberts, I was sold. Well, I have the pleasure and honor of having the creature effects guy on the phone with me tonight, and boy, I love the creature he's created for this film, It Wants Blood. Folks, I give you the awesome, the talented Joe Castro. How do you do, Joe?
How you doing there? How's it going over there? I'm doing good today. Thank you for asking.
What's it like there in sunny California right now?
Well, believe it or not, today is the first day we have some rain. Fall is setting in over here, and I'm enjoying the weather, to be honest with you. It's cooled down a little bit, and I love fall. I love Halloween. I love anything creepy, and I like the cool weather, and I like rain for sure. We need it here in Southern California.
I think you should dress up like James Balsamo for Halloween. Go scare him.
That's an interesting thought. James, I think, is a very cool and animated and interesting character. I love his style, and I am so honored and happy to be a part of his films. Mm-hmm. He definitely makes entertainment, which is something I love to be a part of.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't know who he was until about 2 years ago. I had been put in touch, sent an actress to interview by the name of Genevieve Rossi. And she and I hit it off really well. And when I was interviewing her, I just noticed a lot of her credits were directed by James Balsamo. And so I thought, well, I should reach out to this guy. I've since had both of them on twice, so excuse me. Yep. And James and I, actually, we were just going back and forth on Facebook. I let him know that I was going to be interviewing you tonight, and he's like, awesome! Yeah. So, yeah. So, I haven't met him, but boy, I've talked to him a number of times on the phone, and I think it's interesting where technology is now, because, I was born in the 70s, and I still remember high school, we had typewriters, but I never would I have in a million years thought I would be filming scenes on a phone and sending them to James Balsamo to put in a movie with Eric Roberts.
Right, I understand. Yeah, exactly. Especially at the quality that they have today with phones and technology. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I saw I can't wait to see It Wants Blood, because James does a lot of what people might call low-grade horror comedies. And I always described him as the self-aware Tommy Wiseau. Like, he's in on the joke, He's trying to have fun. And I love that about him, He's not trying to be a Shakespearean actor. He's going all out having fun making movies, and it's something I really see in him. And but when I see It Wants Blood, and I saw your creature effect, I'm like, holy cow, this is like a real big step up. And I think James sees it that way too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of James's masterpieces, and I think he's done a really fantastic job making a very wild, interesting, and unique piece of entertainment. He's brought a lot of talented people together on this movie, and it's something I think everybody is going to be proud of.
Well, talk about the creature. This is an odd-looking creature. How did you come up with that design?
Well, I did not design the creature.
Oh, James did?
Okay. James and another talented man designed it, and then I was given a drawing, a pre-production design of the creature. And I know there is one artist who actually built a small miniature model of the creature that is used in stop motion animation shots in the film.
Okay.
And James asked me if I could build a full scale head of the creature to interact with the actors on set. And so that's what I did.
Okay.
And then once I constructed the head, and we were able to film some scenes where James and all the lead talent, name talent, um, interacted with it, we then went and started to add more special effects and more death scenes into film. And I don't want to give anything away,
No.
but there's some cool stuff in the film that we spent a whole day just shooting gore effects and death scenes and some very unique kind of 80s styled special effects to kind of pump up the practical effects ante in the movie.
Wow. Yeah, this movie looks like it's going to be exciting, and I was asked probably, I don't know whether it's early on in the shoot, but my scenes have been shot and delivered to him months ago, and I'm quite honored, like Eric Roberts going to be watching my scenes. Did you interact with him at all?
Yes, I was on set with Eric with the climax of the film, and we had the head there, and Eric did a couple of scenes with the head as well.
What was it
Yeah.
like working with him?
Well, he's a very professional man, and
Mm-hmm.
he was also very entertaining on set. He tried to keep the mood light and fun, and it was Hollywood as usual. It was a real classic experience working on set in the middle of the San Fernando Valley here in the Los Angeles area with Eric Roberts on a movie. It's one of those experiences that not too many people get to experience unless you are here on set working with the other industry professionals in the city. It's one of the blessings and the gifts I've been able to experience since I've been working in the business for almost 37 years now.
Wow. Yes, I wanted to ask you about that, about your start in the business and your influences and what got you into this. You care to elaborate on that?
Well, I can.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, when I was 7 years old,
Mm-hmm.
my father sat me in front of the television. This was in Helotes, Texas. And he was babysitting me over the weekend while my mother was away with her girlfriends on a cruise. My mother was a school teacher, and it was summer, and she was like I said, away with her friends. And my father was doing work on the ranch that we lived on, and he put me inside, and he said, "Watch this on TV. You're going to like it." He knew I would at least be entertained for the 2 hours while the movie played on TV, so he could get his work accomplished outside during the day. And at the time, I was very fascinated by dinosaurs and dragons, and I wanted to grow up to be a paleontologist, an archaeologist.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, sure enough, I sat down, and it was Godzilla versus the Smog Monster on TV on a Saturday afternoon creature feature, and that movie changed my world forever. I knew when that movie ended that I wanted to make movies and special effects for science fiction, monster movies, and horror films. And I have never changed my goal since that very day, and I've been pursuing it ever since.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned that, and two faces come to mind. One is Ray Harryhausen, who directed one of my all-time favorite movies, Clash of the Titans, and also
That's right.
with gore effects, I think Tom Savini.
That's right.
Were they two of your influences?
Oh, absolutely. When I was that same year, when I was seven, for my seventh birthday, I saw my mother organized a birthday party where we took some of my cousins and my friends at the time to a double feature, and the double feature was the Son of Godzilla. I believe it's Godzilla on Monster Island, where they introduced Godzuki into the to the franchise, and then it builds a double feature with Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. that
Okay.
year, which is a Ray Harryhausen film.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, it was 4 hours of a Saturday afternoon matinee, or maybe it wasn't Saturday, maybe it was a Sunday. I'm not sure. For my birthday party in San Antonio, Texas, in the theater, and we got to see both films, and that's how I was introduced to Ray Harryhausen. Then later on, of course, in '82, which when I was 12 years old, Ray produced and directed Clash of the Titans, or maybe it was 82. I'm
81.
not sure what year. 81.
81, yep.
81. I was 11 when Clash of the Titans came out, and I saw that film in the theater as well. And I would later go on to meet my partner, Steven Escobar, who's been my partner for 21 years, won an Emmy for outstanding editing and reality television programming. And at the Emmy party, I got a chance to meet Harry Hamlin, the
Okay.
star of Clash of the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell him the story of how he inspired me as a child to pursue my dreams with the film Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
Never in my wildest dreams that I think I would be, at an Emmy party with a Harry Hamlin talking to him about Clash of the Titans.
I love Clash of the Titans. I remember when that came out in theaters and they had the stickers and the cereal boxes and whatnot. I remember, I still hold that film in high regard, and I've interviewed somebody that worked with him. I had him on my show twice in tribute to Ray. And we celebrated Clash of the Titans for its 35th anniversary. And I love that film. It brings back such great memories for me. And that and the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Harryhausen just excited my imagination.
Absolutely. And I just ditto, same here. I mean, the man was an artist and entertainer and genius. And I always had a big fascination for Greek mythology and all of the different characters in ancient Greek mythology, But Clash of the Titans kind of brought everything together for me and made it all a reality. And then once I saw that film, it was quite obvious to me that anything goes. Movie magic was endless, and I could, even my career in filmmaking was just basically a stone's throw away from where I grew up in Texas to Los Angeles, and I knew it was possible.
Yes. Well, It Wants Blood, of course, directed by James Balsamo. He must have brought an interesting energy to the set of that movie. I just get that vibe, even seeing pictures of him at Son of Monster Palooza, He seems just so much energy, so active, so pleasant.
That's true. One of the things I like most about James is the fact that he allows each individual artist to bring something to the table and allows us to interact and kind of own our own portion of each thing that we do when it comes to being able to offer input to make the film better. Some directors, they're very specific about what they want. There is no wiggle room. I give them what they want, what they've conjured up, what they've decided they have in their head, and that's what they want. Other directors sometimes can basically see the artistic value in each individual person and allows them and delegates authority to them, allowing them to create something and bring something original and add something to the production. And that's the kind of director I see James as being, and I think it works in his favor.
Yes. Well, I'm about set to do my 7th cameo in one of his movies, and I'm like, gee, I don't belong in these movies with these talented people, but I'll take it. Because I'm not an actor, but I'll take it. He said he liked doing my show, so I'll take that,
Awesome.
Yep,
Yeah.
I was quite surprised when I got that email from him to ask me to do a death scene for Cool as Hell 2, and I just really stared at that email for a long time before I called him up to ask him, what do you mean? And I had Linnea Quigley in that, Michael Berryman, Debbie Rochon, and I'm sitting there thinking, you sure you want me in this? But I did it, and I was honored.
All I have to say about that is, when it comes to acting in films, if you think that you are talented enough to be in a movie, just remember there are people that were cast in major motion pictures that never even had tried to pursue careers in acting, and directors found them and were able to direct them and guide them into having great performances. So, as long as there's a little bit of willingness and the director is willing to work with the actor, anything is possible.
Well, I was happy I was able to do cameos for his films, and I didn't even have to leave here in Fredericton. So I just emailed the scenes to him, so that works for me.
Yep.
But I'm looking forward definitely to this movie here, It Wants Blood, and I'm hoping I'm not disappointed. I'm pretty sure I won't be, especially your work, and it looks great from the pictures I've seen. So how long did it take you to craft that?
Well, I've been pretty busy over the past year working on many different projects for many different directors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to, let me see if I can. I was going to see if I could just bring up. I worked on Friday the 13th Vengeance,
Yep.
directed by Jeremy Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've worked with Thomas Churchill this year twice already, actually twice already, for two titles, and I'm not allowed to talk about them really.
Okay.
Both of them, one of them is a horror film, one of them is a creature feature. But one of the films that Thomas and I worked on almost 2 years ago, titled Nation's Fire, should be coming out Christmas this year.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with Joseph Kelly and Dave Bailey this year, the two directors from Clown Motel.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked with, let's see, Eric Forsberg over at Asylum Entertainment and their team of talented people on a movie called Clown, which is out right now
Mm-hmm.
on, I believe, all the home media platforms.
Clowns are popular right now.
Yeah, clowns are very popular. Of course, I work with James.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who else. I'm just scrolling down my Facebook while I find out who the other people are that I've worked with this year. I've worked with so many. But basically, I just got off a really powerful set, a very powerhouse indie movie titled The Barn 2. It's the sequel to a movie, I believe it came out in 2015, called The Barn. And it's directed by, let me see here. It's directed by, I already forgot the guy's name, Justin Seaman. And it is a really classic Halloween-styled movie. And it takes place in the late 80s and early 90s.
Okay.
And it has a lot of really classic Halloween characters. Stars Linnea Quigley and Ari Lebman.
Mm-hmm.
And also, let me take it. Also, Trauma.
Yeah, I like those guys.
Lloyd Kaufman.
Lloyd Kaufman.
Great Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah.
And so I've had this barrage of different jobs this year, some insane deadlines, and when James approached me, I literally had about a week and a half window to build this head, and before I jumped right onto another project. Actually, I think what was happening at that time, because I built the head last year. It wasn't this year. It was, maybe it was this year. Jeez, it was this year. Oh my gosh. I've done so much. No, yeah, it was this year. I've done so much work. And what happened was I was working on one project and I was getting ready to go. I think I was getting ready to leave out of state to go work on another project by the talented director Justin Price. I was doing a creature feature for him. And I just had a small window to complete the head so James could have it. And then, of course, when I got back, after he had the head, they wanted to shoot some stuff with it, and they wanted to shoot some blood and gore with it. And I was more than happy to not only do the head, but to do the rest of the practical effects for the film. I love that James gives me complete total freedom to just go off and be as creative as I possibly can be when it comes to creating the effects for his films. So yeah. I hope that answered the question.
Well, he led me to you, I'll say that. So I was impressed enough with that creature effect that I had to reach out.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. You mentioned Friday the 13th Vengeance. Now, I did see that. Fan films seem to be a big thing right now. And so it's the Friday the 13th franchise seems to be going through a lawsuit right now. And I've interviewed a lot of people from that franchise. I grew up with them. Never Hike Alone I thought was fantastic. And then you got Vengeance, and I did watch it. You know, it was nice to see C.J. Graham and Tom McLaughlin. Tom's been a guest twice on the show, and your effects were great in it. I know you did one effect that I was really impressed with, and I actually wish this character survived longer because he was so blatantly entertaining. The old drunk guy.
That is Jason Brooks playing Lewis in the film.
Oh, I
That's
love.
the character's name.
Every time he's on screen, I laughed. Talk about working on Vengeance.
Well, Vengeance was something that Sean Blair, my friend, who is also part of my management team at the moment, who introduced me to a couple of people and suggested that I reach out and that it would be a good idea to work with them. And a young man named Don Shell, who was one of the co-executive producers of the movie, had already contacted me on Facebook and asked me if I would be interested in being a part of the film. He told me the film was for nonprofit, and anything that was raised by the film would go to the Shriners Children's Hospital in Seattle, Washington area.
Mm-hmm.
And I was totally on board with that.
Yeah.
Don told me he would buy my airplane tickets and put me up and fly me to the set in Seattle if I could create this very kind of over the top, but they wanted it to be very professional, classic Tom Savini, Friday the 13th style death where a man gets his head ripped off. I think it's a little more over the top than what Tom would do.
Mm-hmm.
But Don, because he was an executive producer on the film, had some creative input on how he wanted to die or how he wanted this death to go down. And he was a big fan of my film franchise that my partner, Steven Escobar, and I own, titled Terror Tunes. And so he wanted to do a slightly over-the-top kind of Friday the 13th death. And Jason Brooks flew down to my studio here in Los Angeles, and I made a live cast of him for the effect. And then eventually, once it was completed, they flew me up to film with quiet. They flew me up to work with C.J. Graham, who plays Jason in the actual Friday the 13th movie franchise. I believe he's Jason in part 6.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege and honor to help complete his look in the film. And then I created Jason Brooks' death, and of course Don Shell's death on camera, and one other gentleman. I was only there for a short period of time, but it was an amazing experience, and I got to meet a brand new, giant, big film family. Like I said, working with the director Jeremy Brown, and the entire team for Friday 13th Vengeance has been definitely a bucket list experience.
Yeah, yes, there was a lot of great things in that film, but your effects work were definitely high on that list. You got 3 other films I want to ask you about. One is Teenage Exorcist. I gotta say, I love Brink Stevens. You've worked with her more than once.
Brink Stevens is. What was that you said? The second thing you said?
I said you've worked with her more than once, and she's of course in It Wants Blood.
Yeah, Brink. I actually introduced James to Brink here in Los Angeles. I believe it was at the premiere of a movie titled Blind, directed by Marcel Waltz, which is a fantastic film. If you get a chance to watch it, have a look at it. It's called Blind, and it's a psychological, twisted, dark, nightmarish love story. If you like that kind of thing. If you don't, it's probably not for you. But it's one of my favorite films of 2019, And Brink and I went. Brink, myself, and my partner Steven went to the premiere, and I introduced James to Brink, and I said I use Brink in every one of my films, and that James should put her in the film. And I believe how it went down was James said, "Oh, really? What kind of role would you like to play?" And Brink said she'd never played, I believe, a therapist in a movie. So I think that's what she plays in this film, is in It's What's Blood, as a therapist. Anyways, that's how movie deals happen in Hollywood. You know, you just go to a premiere and you meet somebody and introduce somebody, and the next thing you know, you're on a set making a movie together.
It's interesting because when I saw the pictures of him with Brink Stevens in that shot with you guys, I put a message on Facebook to James. I said, "Get Brink in the film," you know, because I was in this film. I'm like, you know, you got me, little old me, in this film. Surround me with some great names here. I said the same thing too about some other people as well, like Elaine Dietz, for example, had was on my show at the end of April, and she learned that I was part of It Wants Blood, and she wanted to be part of that, and because I saw her in a picture with you, and I mentioned to her on the picture that, hey, Joe Castro's doing the creature effects for It Wants Blood, which I'm part of. And she got in touch with me and said, I want to be part of your film. And of course, it wasn't my film, but I come to find out that she and James knew each other. And James put a post on Facebook saying, Elaine Dietz is part of It Wants Blood. So I put a comment underneath it, and I said, "You're welcome, James."
That James, I believe Eileen was at the premiere. Maybe I'm wrong. I believe she might have been at the premiere of It Once Blood, of Blind as well. It was a real who's who of Hollywood there that night. And you know, I recently had the opportunity to work with Eileen as well, not only on It Once Blood, but one of Thomas Churchill's films. And I'm so excited for everybody to see the effects, but I really can't talk about
That's
it.
okay. She's wonderful.
And so we are. Can you believe we've already been talking for 30 minutes?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to ask you about Bone Hill Road, where you worked with with Linnea Quigley.
Yes, I just worked with Linnea Quigley on The Barn 2, the Justin Seaman film, and you know, I got to shower her with blood. I'm not supposed to talk about all the details of it, but I can say that much. It's the most, to be honest with you, it's the most blood I've ever seen her covered with on set.
Actually, I'm well aware of it because she's involved in a charity challenge I threw at her, where she's supposed to take a pie in the face, and she mentioned to me in an email. She said, "I just got showered with blood tonight. Does that count?" But I said to her, well, seeing that the challenge had to do with suicide and depression awareness, it might have the wrong effect, but thanks. I met her at Horrorama last year. I think she's a hoot, and I had her on the show.
Yeah, no, she's an amazing, talented lady, and such a great presence to be around. She has such great energy. But working with her on Justin Seaman's set, and Zane Hirschberger, who was the director of photography and also a major creative influence in The Barn 2, has been a real gift. I cannot wait for everybody to see this film. It's made by an extremely talented group of industry professionals from West Virginia in a very homegrown horror studio there. And it's going to be a real treat for everyone. That's all I can say for the moment.
One last film I need.
I worked with Linnea on several things. I worked with Linnea on. I worked with her and Brink Stevens on Brink Stevens' directorial debut, which was a movie that my partner Stephen Escobar and I produced, called Personal Demons, that came out the same year that Bone Hill Road came out. And so Bone Hill Road had a Hollywood premiere here, and Todd and Douglas and Antoine and Dylan all came over from Kansas City to have the premiere here, and we had an awesome time together. and I consider them film family. Yeah, for sure.
The one last title I wanted to mention was Uncle Sam. You worked with William Lustig, the director of Maniac, and PJ Souls is in this, and I love her. Any stories there?
Yeah. Oh well, I just it was almost 2 decades ago. Let's see, actually, it was over 2 decades ago. Let's see, it was at 1996, 94, 90, I'm not sure what year it came out, but somewhere around there. Let's see, 96, 2006.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was over
96.
2 decades ago. Yeah, it was 2 decades ago I worked on that movie, and my influence in the film was obviously big enough of a contribution that it's still around today with my work. I painted the mask that Uncle Sam wears in the film. It was sculpted and was sculpted by the lead in the shop, and then vacuum formed by one of the owners of the shop. But I got to put all the finishing touches on it. The color, the beard, the goatee, and whatnot, and made it look like the mask it is. And then I was responsible for building the 2 full-scale burned bodies that are in the helicopter at the beginning of the film. And it was just one of those things where you never know what you're working on. You never know what kind of cult following it's going to have until 2 decades later, and you realize, wow, I did that. But I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to work on it, and I'm very grateful that it has entertained so many people over the decades that it's been out.
Well, before I let you go, I do want you to plug your website and any charities that you want to plug on here.
Well, if anybody's interested, they can go and reach out to me on Facebook, facebook.com/Joe.Castro. And, you can reach out to me if you want to get any of my movies. Most of my films are on Vimeo and Google Play and all the home media platforms, Amazon Instant Video. There's also a lot of merchandise there for sale. Come over on Facebook and say hello, and let's make some movies together.
Mm-hmm. Any charities that you want to promote?
Well, I don't have any that I'm currently involved in, but
Okay.
Anybody ever wants to do anything to help control the pet population and help the animals of the world, I'm all for it.
Just like Linnea. Yeah, she's involved
Yeah.
in that too. Well, you know what? I appreciate so much you taking the time to come on here tonight and talk to me, and I really look forward to It Wants Blood and seeing your work in that. And you're more than welcome to come back on here in the future. Any projects that, you get completed. I noticed you got a lot in the works here on IMDb, so you're a busy
Thank
man.
you, Greg. I really appreciate you tonight, sir. And I hope everybody has an amazing October and happy Halloween. And I will take you up on that offer.
Well, before I let you go, do you mind doing a plug for my show?
Absolutely. Hi, this is director and special effects artist Joe Castro from Hollywood, California. And you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise out of New Brunswick, Canada.
Folks, look for Joe Castro's work. He's done some amazing stuff. And, of course, It Wants Blood, which I'm proud to be part of because this guy, you'll make the film I'm in look good even if I'm in it, But nonetheless, I am honored to be part of this and honored to have you as a guest tonight.
Thank you so much, Greg. And I look forward to talking with you more in the future. Please don't be a stranger, just be strange. I'll talk to you more soon.
Go get that James Balsamo costume ready for Halloween. I want you to scare him.
Okay. All right. Well, be good to yourself. We'll talk to you more soon.
Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.